Hello, this is Casey with the therapy department here at Edgewater. This is the 7th of 10 seminars in 2020 provided by the rehab department. Today we are going to be talking about part 2 of the mind lecture we started in June. What can you do for a healthy mind? In June we talked about normal and abnormal aging. Today we are going to discuss key factors in a healthy mind, understand myths about the brain, and learn what's next in Thrive Mind Part 3. Key factors in a healthy mind. Healthy lifestyle areas of diet, exercise, sleep, and building up your cognitive reserve are important for maintaining a healthy mind. Let's talk about each of these. Dietitians at ACTS shared current research. Diet has been shown to help preserve your brain, lowering your risks for Alzheimer's and stroke. Diet does not have to be followed rigorously. Do your best to adhere to its principles and you will still get some of the benefits. But as always, more research is needed. Reach out to your dietitian to learn more. Exercise. Studies show that people who exercise regularly have lower rates of memory problems, dementia, and depression. Sleep. From the National Institute of Neurological and Stroke, NIH, recent findings suggest that sleep plays a housekeeping role that removes toxins in your brain that build up while you are awake, and that consolidates your experiences and memories from the previous day. Without quality sleep, you can't form or maintain the pathways in your brain that let you learn and create new memories, and it becomes harder to concentrate and respond quickly. Socializing. Interacting with others boosts feelings of well-being and decreases feelings of depression. Research has shown that one sure way of improving your mood is to work on building social connections. You may even lower your risk of dementia. Cognitive reserve. This is a new term for most. Cognitive reserve is the mind's resistance to damage of the brain, an important key factor in a healthy mind. You can think of cognitive reserve as your brain's ability to improvise and find alternate ways of getting a job done. Just like a powerful car that enables you to engage another gear and suddenly accelerate to avoid an obstacle, your brain can change the way it operates and thus make added resources to cope with challenges. We all know Albert Einstein had a great brain. His message is that we need to paying attention to growing our brains right up until the end of life. The quote reads, "Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death." There are a couple different myths about the brain. Let's look into each of these myths and know how Thrive Mind challenges and helps create a healthy brain. Myth 1. I would only benefit from therapy if I have dementia diagnosis along with a medical event such as an injury or illness. This is not true. In the past, we primarily assisted residents that have a diagnosis of dementia or had a medical event with a change in function that may need therapy to help them return to their prior level of living. For example, a stroke, losing one's ability to communicate, function physically, and or ability to complete simple activities of daily living. Rehab can help in a proactive way. You come to rehab to determine a baseline, and a therapist will develop a treatment plan that incorporates interventions and strategies to challenge and therefore improve physical and cognitive function. Goals are for retraining, enhancing, and or learning new skill. Thrive Mind will help. There is a difference between brain health and Thrive Mind. Brain health is great at maintaining function, and the ACTS Thrive Mind program is designed to challenge function. Thrive Mind is a proactive approach to care. Thrive Mind uses an evidence-based therapeutic approach that challenges areas of the brain to stimulate neuron activity, increase neuroplasticity, and ultimately build cognitive reserve. Brain health, for example, is working on a crossword puzzle. Thrive Mind, for example, is a therapist that will have you work on a crossword puzzle while doing a motor task, such as riding a bike. So your brain has to pay more attention to the crossword puzzle. This will help prevent memory loss. Both are beneficial in two different capacities. Brain health is focused on maintaining your current abilities throughout brain activities. Thrive Mind builds cognitive reserve that reduces the risk of cognitive decline in the future. Myth 3. You only use 10% of your brain. This is a myth. You use all regions of your brain to some extent over the day. While brain regions are not necessarily active at the same time, all brain regions are utilized to some extent over the day, depending on what we are doing. For example, reading, trying to solve a math problem, driving, talking on the phone, and/or sleeping. Thrive Mind will challenge your core cognitive capacities and build your cognitive reserve. Here are two examples how Thrive Mind would help your brain through challenges in order to build cognitive reserve. Example 1, distraction. We call this response inhibition. The therapist might have you listen to a story with an unexpected noise added to distract you. The goal is to ignore the noise. Why is this important? We need to be able to suppress irrelevant distractions to focus on the message so we don't forget it. 2, orientation. We call this topographical orientation. The therapist might have you learn to shop at a new grocery store or drive a new route. Why is this important to challenge our core cognitive capacities? This is exactly what building your cognitive reserve means. When we challenge these core components in our brain, we are able to prevent a decline in cognition. Myth 4. The size of the brain dictates how smart you are, and neuroplasticity only happens when you're a child. This is a myth. Brain size and intelligence are unrelated because all humans have relatively similar sized brains. It has more to do with the strength of neuron networks and how cells communicate with one another. You can help preserve your cognitive abilities with the food you eat and lifestyle you lead. Thrive Mind will help build new pathways through neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is an umbrella term commonly used to mean that the brain and nervous system is plastic, another word for malleable. It can be remolded or rewired in response to experiences over the lifetime. Neuroplasticity was once thought to only occur during childhood, but research in the latter half of the 20th century showed that many aspects of the brain can be altered or are plastic even through adulthood. Myth 5. Crossword puzzles boost brain power. This is also a myth. Repetitive activities maintain abilities, but do not build cognitive reserve. Doing the same thing over and over isn't challenging enough for the brain to spark new neural connections and power up your brain. A study by the University of Texas at Dallas assigned older people different activities. Only those who learned a new skill, such as quilting, showed a significant brain gain. Similar, in a recent Swedish study, the brain scans of people showed that parts of the brain grew in size among those who took up a new language. Thrive Mind will teach residents that learning something new is challenging our mind. This can include language, hobbies, traveling to new stores, enroll in a class, make a new recipe, meet new people, and plan social or travel events. Finally, myth 6. The aging brain is a slippery slope that we need to accept as we age. This is truly a myth. Certain aspects of our brain change, and some for those worse as we age. As we age, our brains normally shrink in size by about 1 to 2% every year after the age of 40. This occurs due to loss of brain cells and brain cells shrinking. But the brain also improves as we age. A recent Swedish study has some good news in that more than 1/3 of neurons in the hippocampus, which is the memory section of the brain, are regularly renewed throughout life. What we know about the aging brain that changes. 1. Brain mass. Shrinkage in the frontal lobe and hippocampus at age 60 or 70. These are areas involved in higher cognitive function and encoding new memories. 2. Cortical density. This is thinning of our outer ridge surfaces of the brain due to declining synaptic connections. Fewer connections may contribute to slower cognitive processing. 3. White matter. White matter consists of myelinated nerve fibers that are bundled into tracts and carry nerve signals between brain cells. Myelin is thought to shrink with age, thus slowing processing and reducing cognitive function. For example, think of the furthest out limbs on a tree as white matter. Over time, those limbs can change and break off. 4. Neurotransmitter systems. Researchers suggest that the brain generates less chemical messengers with aging, and it is this that decreases dopamine, acetylcholine, serotonin, and that may play a role in declining cognition and memory and increased depression. Thrive Mind's goal is to challenge our core cognitive capacities. A therapist will challenge your core cognitive capacities with use of evidence-based therapeutic interventions. For example, dual processing. This strategy incorporates a cognitive and motor component to treatment. Reaction time strategy. We would do challenging reaction time activities, targeting improvement in response to stimuli. This targets fall prevention, driving skills, and higher cognitive development. Both will help address the changes that occur to mitigate the slippery slope, build your cognitive reserve, and to resist damage to your brain. Let's review. Thrive Mind is an evidence-based therapeutic approach that challenges areas of the brain to stimulate neuron activity, increase neuroplasticity, and ultimately build cognitive reserve. Thrive Mind is for our independent living residents who want to address their risk factors to build cognitive reserve. This is a new program for rehab and is still under construction. In August, we are going to learn a little bit more about cognitive reserve. What is cognitive reserve? Why is it important? What are the risk factors that could lead to a decline in cognition? See examples of things you can do on your own to build your cognitive reserve. And finally, discuss what rehab can do to help build your cognitive reserve. Reminder. The Wellness and Rehab Partnership work together to meet your cognitive health needs. Thrive Mind challenges your brain health to connect your mind, body, and soul to live your best life. In August, we are going to learn how a therapist can help you challenge your core cognitive capacities to build your cognitive reserve and in turn prevent cognitive decline. We hope that by August, we will be able to see you guys in person and be able to give this lecture in person. Until then, we hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy. And if you have any questions about this lecture or you would like to find out more information about anything we talked about or covered in this lecture, please give us a call at the rehab department. And it's going to be in your white number book, and it's going to say Axe Physical Therapy. You can give us a call at that number, and one of our therapists will be more than happy to speak with you and answer any questions. I also would like to add we are currently doing Thrive screens. What we do is that one of our therapists can either come to your apartment or you can come to our outpatient therapy gym, which is located now on the second floor behind the auditorium. It's just a screen. So we would go through the not only mind portion of the screen, but also the strength, flexibility, balance, and endurance sections as well to see how you are performing in comparison to same aged and sex persons. And we can discuss those results with you to see if therapy would be a good idea for you. We also build Thrive strength programs, which means that once we screen you and see where you're performing in these different subsectors and sections, we will create an exercise program for you in order to maintain and increase your current performance in all aspects of Thrive. Again, if you have any questions about what the Thrive program is or what we covered in today's lecture or a previous lecture, please reach out to us in the therapy department. We'd be more than happy to help you. Have a good one and stay safe.